Hi, and welcome to my cheese factory. Today I'm going to make cheese for you out of yogurt. That's the oldest cheese we have in the world. Now, the question is, who invented yogurt? And the answer is nobody. Yogurt is a member of the family of foods that have come to us as a gift of God. That is to say, we discovered things, but they were already planned out. I really believe that. Wine and bread and cheese, our three most ancient food products, are all discoveries of yeast on the desert. All blessings of yeast on the desert. Old food products. And yogurt is one of those. In the old days, when they began taking care of herds of goats and cattle and so on, and they would milk these creatures, you see, when you'd leave the milk set about, natural yeasts in the air, bacteria in the air in the desert, would land in the milk and cause it to ferment as a yogurt. The term yogurti, I think it is in Turkish, probably where it began with the Turks and for all the desert people, marvelous times. In any case, it would preserve the cheese. So they began to save the starters, you see, save the yogurt, and pass it on among generations. The other method of thickening a milk, or causing it to curdle, was discovered when they began saving the milk itself in the stomach linings of a cow or of a goat. If you put it in a goat stomach or cow stomach, you see, the natural rennet inside the skin causes the cheese to form. And, of course, that preserves the cheese. Wine and bread and cheese were all discovered when we were trying to save stuff for the wintertime. Isn't that fascinating? Well, today I'm ready to fly with you here on some marvelous things that we can make with yogurt. When you make your own yogurt, the equipment's very simple. You need a stainless steel pan. You can't do it in aluminum or enamel. See, put it in a stainless steel kettle. And you need a thermometer, a good cheese thermometer. These are not hard to find. One that will go from, what does mine go from? From about 20 degrees centigrade to about 250. You see, you want to be able to control this very, very carefully. Then I want you to buy a heat diffuser. These are very, very simple to find. It's a cheap gadget, but a marvelous thing that will, on the burner, you see, it functions as a double boiler. It makes the heat very, very even. And you want to put that under your pot because stainless steel is generally too thin to use for normal cooking. For me, everything burns. But use a heat diffuser and it won't. So here we go. I've thrown a gallon. I'm making a gallon at a time. Easy to do. Put a gallon of milk in my stainless steel pot, brought it to 180 degrees, and then I've cooled it, let it cool to 115. Got that? That's very important, the 115 degrees. Bring it to 180 because you're going to pasteurize it. That was the number that Louis Pasteur decided on, remember? And then you bring it down to 115 because then it's just warm enough to excite the starter. That is to say, the yogurt bug that we're going to add to this. And it is a bug. It is a bacteria. A marvelous creature. So I have some yogurt left over from my last batch. And at this point, I'm going to add a good cup to my gallon here of previously made yogurt. You can buy yogurt starters in the market. Sometimes in a supermarket, but always in a health food store. And in a good Middle Eastern deli, we'll have a very tart one for you. I was raised on a yogurt that was brought from Lebanon, a yogurt starter brought from Lebanon by Mrs. Selma Abdo. She's a marvelous lady. She died when I was, 7 years old. I still remember her recipes. I've talked with her about you before. I've talked about her with you before. And she had a yogurt starter that was so tart, and it's still in the family. Years and years and years ago. Oh, Lord, it's tart. It's marvelous stuff. All right, the yogurt is mixed now. My starter is mixed into the gallon of milk that has been heated to 180, cooled to 115, and we're ready now to put it in jars. And I'm going to simply use some more gallon jars. You might also use a ladle, but I think I can just pour this in here. We'll see how far I get. Don't want to make a mess. And we're going to, I'm just using quart jars. Be sure they're clean. For heaven's sakes, be sure they're good and clean, or you'll have terrible trouble. And you'll get the idea. All right, here we go. There's one. Be sure and stir your starter in carefully. You don't want to have one jar alive and the other jar dead. You know what the term for yogurt is in Lebanese? The word is Leben, L-E-B-E-N, which is connected with the German term, for some reason, we don't know, for life. Leben, life, Leben in German, you see. Why would they use such a word? Well, because this milk is now alive. It has a bug in it, and the bug will keep the milk alive and literally preserve it. It's a marvelous, marvelous concept. Now, we'll seal these up, and I'm going to put them in a bucket of water, a kettle of water that is exactly at the same temperature that I have my milk, which means 115 degrees. Now, this is very simple to do, but you need a second thermometer. And you see my kettle is all set here. And you know how I'm keeping it warm? We want to keep this warm for, about 8 to 10 hours. And my water's in the bottom at exactly 115 degrees. See my thermometer's right here. And you know how I'm keeping it warm? There it is. I have Betsy's mother's heating pad right underneath the bottom, and I have it on medium. And I'm just going to let it sit here overnight. And I can make a gallon of yogurt in nothing flat. I would, by the way, suggest that you, once the thing's going, you see, keep the lid on it to conserve the heat. And in the morning you wake up and you've got an entire gallon of yogurt. No sweat. You don't need those little yogurt starters. Besides, they don't make enough. If you're going to cook with yogurt as I do, then you've got to have a gallon at a time. Did you get the recipe? 180 in the kettle. Cool it down to 115. Add your starter. Put it in jars. Put it in a kettle of water that's at exactly 115 degrees on a heating pad. Overnight, you've got it. All right? Let me show you what you wind up with. Good Lord, that's heavy. I'm getting old. Coming apart at the seams. No, I'm really not. I have 3 different yogurts that I prepared for you. What do you mean 3 different yogurts? Yogurt is yogurt. No, it's not. No, it's not. It depends on what kind of starters you use. And I have 3 different kinds here. And I'll tell you that there's a great difference in each one. This one is a Bulgarian yogurt. And you can buy the starter in a good market. And it says right on the package, Bulgarian yogurt. This one is a yogurt from, I've got a D on the jar, I have to remember. This is from a yogurt that I picked up in Denver. That's very nice. And this one is a yogurt starter from the Solate Cheese Company. And so you can find all different sources. And what you have to do is pick out a starter that you like and then just keep the thing alive. It will always work. Now, there are 2 ways, and I've said earlier, of coagulating cheese or yogurt. One is the yogurt starter. And the other method is to add a rennet. And if you use a rennet, let's move some of these here, or a curdling device, which is made from the cow's stomach, you see, you can buy a package of junket. Have you ever seen this stuff? A rennet, it's just, they come in little tablets inside, and you use just about a quarter of these, one of these, to do a whole bunch of milk. I'll show you what you come up with. It's a very different kind of curd. This didn't set up very firm. But if you were to cook this curd, I didn't have my kitchen warm enough last night. That was the problem. But if you were to cook this curd, you see what it's done? See how it's formed? You see? If you cut this into squares, into cubes, and then you cook it very gently, and this is how you make cottage cheese. This is another very basic method of making cheese. Either coagulating it with the stomach of a cow, rennet, or you use a bug, yogurt, right? Now, let's cook with it. I'm going to get rid of the rennet. I really like yogurt better. For instance, if you want to make a marvelous cheese and egg dish, let me show you how to do this. This is an old dish from Turkey, and I think it's simply superb. Oh, by the way, you can also use buttermilk in flavoring cheese. Buttermilk has a bug in it, you see, a cultured bug, very much like a yogurt. It's a little bit milder bug than yogurt, and you can use this to make something like creme fraiche, for instance. You see, the French. Not sour cream, but thick cream. You simply put a little bit of this in a warm cream and let it sit for 15 hours or 12 hours, something like this, and you'll have a nice creme fraiche, like a sour cream, but it isn't sour. Very lovely. So let's begin with a Turkish dish called yogurt and eggs. While my pan is heating, I should show you what I'm talking about. You've seen these pans. You've seen these dented bottom pans, you see. You can buy them in Turkey. The handle is supposed to say they're very old, but these are made now by machines in Turkey. But in the old days, these old antique pans were used for eggs, and you'd put 1 egg in each hole. You see, drop 1 in each spot, and then you cover this with a yogurt, garlic, and onion sauce, and simply let them simmer on the stove. Absolutely heaven! It's just terrific. I'll show you how it's done. I have already sautéed my. There we go. I've already sautéed my garlic and onion. They're just warming again in the pan. And I'll add to my yogurt and onion now a bit of excuse me, not yogurt and onion, garlic and onion. You see? Sauteed that very gently. Now we're going to add a bit of yogurt to it. And cook that for just an instant. And in the meantime, I will add some olive oil to my other frying pan because we want to, this is going to be rich and nice. Here it is. We want to put a few eggs in there. Go. And then we'll put the sauce right over the top. Put the lid on, let them simmer until they're barely done, and you'll have a marvelous dish called yogurt and eggs. And talk about tart. Yes, of course it's tart. It's just delicious. There we go. We'll grab a few eggs and let them fly here, huh? Put your eggs in a warm pan. They should begin to cook right away. And then we'll put the sauce on the top. Cover up the pan. And remember, the sauce is made of sauteed onion and garlic. Don't ask for the amount, for heaven's sakes. It depends on how many eggs you're doing and how well you like garlic and how well you like yogurt and how well you like onions. That kind of thing. Our sauce goes on the top now, you see? It's a very old Turkish dish. Okay. And I'll put this on the top of my eggs now. Move it, kettle. Come on. Very gently. There you are. Put a lid on that. Where is the lid? Ah, it's on the kettle. And they'll be ready in just a minute. All right? Does that make sense to you? Marvelous dish for breakfast. Yes, it's great when you go out the front door and you smell of garlic and yogurt. Good way to start the day, and very, very healthy. Very healthy indeed. Here's a whole bucket of yogurt that I've made for our cooking today, and I'll give you some other things that you can do with this. For instance, if you were to go so far as to make a gallon and drain it in a cheesecloth overnight, you will come up with, there, you will come up with yogurt cheese. Easy to do. Mine's been draining. This is little more than a gallon of milk. And you will, I put it in muslin, you see. So we can get it open here. Here we are. Put this in muslin. Come on, calm down, eggs. Calm down, for heaven's sakes. Hear them go. They're cooking too fast. I want to turn down my heat. There we are. And look what you have. There you are. You have a cheese. Oh boy, this is a marvelous batch. It's terrific. I'll have to use my hands here. Nothing wrong with your hands. Don't worry about it. See how lovely this is? How tender? What am I trying to do? Well, I'm trying to make it kind of a cream cheese. That's what I'm doing. And you understand, don't you, that cream cheese is 32% butterfat. But this milk is a skim milk or a 2%. You can do whatever you wish, or 1.5%. You can make cheese that has very, very little butterfat in it. What does butterfat mean? Ice cream must be, by law, 12% butterfat. Whipping cream is something like 28% butterfat. Cream cheese is 32% butterfat. A glass of milk by law must be 3.5% butterfat or state otherwise. Skim milk and non-fat milk, you see, have very little butterfat in them. So you can make a cheese out of skim milk that has very little butterfat, and yet at the same time, you can really enjoy yourself when it comes time to get out of bed in the morning and have some black coffee and a bit of cream cheese on a dark piece of toast. But it isn't cream cheese, it's yogurt cheese. And it's simply terrific. I think of my Uncle Victor, the son of this woman, Selma Abdo, who taught me to make this. Look at what he does with this.